Okay, we're going to look at some equations, one step, two step, and maybe some multi-step. Basically what you're trying to do is get your variables on one side and your numbers on the other. It can also be the numbers on this side and the variables on the other. When you move things from side to side, you have to do it with an inverse operation. So you might just want to draw that line there, so you can't cross over that line with things. You can't collect like terms across that line. So here, this is 3 plus x. We want to get rid of this 3. So I have to do the inverse operation, which is subtract, and I wind up with x equals 2. Here I want to do the inverse operation, which is divide, and I get x equals 5. I want to get rid of this 3, so I'm going to do the inverse operation, which is to add. X is 7. You can divide by a half. Easier to multiply by that denominator. And x is negative 20. If we want to look at some two-step problems, so this one, again, you want to get variables on one side and numbers on the other. Or numbers on this side and variables on the other. So you want to think about which one's in the wrong place. So when I look at this, I have my variable here and a number here. So this one's really in the wrong place. It's positive, so I'm going to subtract it from each side. Common mistake, make sure you bring down that negative sign. And then 8 minus 6 is 2, and then I would divide by negative 2. The inverse of multiplication is division, and I get negative 1. Again, you want to keep that line in mind. Here, I've got a number here, a variable, and a variable. So this is going to be my variable side and my number side. So this is the wrong in the wrong place. So I can add a 2x to each side. And then divide by 10. So you could write that as 3/5. You could write it as 0.6. Don't leave it as 6/10 though. You want to be careful if you're distributing with a negative. So this is negative 2 times x is negative 2, but then you have negative 2 times a negative 3. So that's a positive 6. And again, you want to always try to collect like terms on one side if you can. So you want to simplify before you do your both sides. So simplify can be both distributing like we did and then collecting like terms. I have a 6 and a 6, so that's 12 minus 2x equals 10. So and again, let's look who's odd man out here. We've got a number, a variable, and a number. So it's this number. Let's subtract a 12 each side. And then divide by negative 2. Here again, I'm going to distribute. Now here we have variables on both sides and numbers on both sides. Myself, I always start with a variable with the smaller coefficient. So that would be this one. And it's negative. Actually, I should collect like terms first. That's 12 minus 2x. So again, you have numbers on each side, variables on each side. And you can do, all 4 of those would work. You could subtract the 12, add the 2x, subtract the 10, subtract the x. Again, I start with the variable with the smaller coefficient. So that's this one here, negative 2x. So that's a negative 2, smaller than 1. So I'm going to add that. And let's see what we get. Again, I should have that line down. So I've got 12 equals 10 plus 3x. At this point, there's really only one move because you want to keep your variables on one side. So this 10's in the wrong spot. I'm going to move that. So 2 is 3x and then divide by 3. So you can leave that as 2/3. I wouldn't put it as 0.6 repeating. Repeating decimals, let's just leave them as fractions.